And so it begins. The son and the brother of American presidents wants your vote and apparently believes one way to do it is challenge the Pope. The nation recoiled at the sight of two off-duty Central Florida cops kicking a man in the head while he was down on the ground. Where is the national outrage? And the Major League Baseball franchise, considered to be above board and a paragon of honesty, has the feds breathing down their necks. And in telling it like it is, exposing the lemmings of America, thanks to one not-so-brilliant con artist. I'm Ed Berliner. This is The Hard Line.
Today, the search for escaped inmates Richard Matt and David Sweat will expand and shift to other areas surrounding Dannemora. Personnel are being redeployed to other areas based on information gathered during the investigation. People in the region should expect to see law enforcement in their community as the search expands.
Creating a no-bomb zone would stop the most important tools that have been used to slaughter and terrorize Syrian civilians, especially the children who are the most vulnerable, as you've seen, to these toxic gases, and whose small bodies are literally ripped apart by the hideous shrapnel filled in these explosive barrel bombs.
Our training efforts in Iraq have thus far been slowed by a lack of trainees. We simply haven't received enough recruits. Of the 24,000 Iraqi security forces we had originally envisioned training at our 4 sites by this fall, we've only received enough recruits to be able to train about 7,000, in addition to 2,000 counterterrorism service personnel.
When do we beat Mexico at the border? They're laughing at us, at our stupidity. And now they're beating us economically. They are not our friend. How stupid are our leaders? How stupid are these politicians to allow this to happen? How stupid are they?
He is either the regenerative engine Republicans need to overtake whomever Democrats throw into their path come November 2016, or he is the most divisive and insulting individual to hit the American campaign trail at a time when we need more of a velvet hammer than a stonecutter's blade. Let's dive headfirst into the lair of the political animal with no fear of Donald Trump firing us all. We hope. Welcoming back Democratic strategist and former Deputy Staff Secretary to President Bill Clinton, David Goodfriend, joined by former co-chairman of the Jeb Bush for Governor campaign, now president of the Tripp Scott Law Firm in South Florida, Ed Pozzuoli. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. And Ed, I'm going to go ahead and start with you on this one. Donald Trump came out. He basically said, how stupid are we? Okay, here's the question then. Is America going to fall for it, or is he just going to be just the instigator to stir things up?
Well, clearly he's going to stir some things up, but let's understand some of what he said was some of the frustration being felt around the country about the Obama administration, the current state of the country. But put that aside, Donald Trump is a great marketer. He's a great entrepreneur. But, you know, so is P.T. Barnum, and we didn't elect him president.
All right, David, now there's a good intro for you right there. Is he more than, in your opinion, more of the P.T. Barnum than more of a serious candidate?
Well, I agree with my Republican colleague that he does give voice to certain frustrations, and in that respect, he reminds me very much of Bernie Sanders. He's sort of the Republican mirror image of Bernie Sanders, somebody who none of us really seriously believes would be president, but whose mere presence in the race gives voice to a lot of frustrations that people feel, and therefore is something that candidates have to react to. I think in this case, Jeb Bush, Marco Rubio, and Scott Walker are all going to have to react to the Donald, and that is maybe good or maybe bad for the Republican nomination process. Time will tell.
All right, here's one from the Donald where basically he said, look, I have so much money that you don't have to worry. A special interest group will never go ahead and buy my vote. Here he is.
They will never make America great again. They don't even have a chance. They're controlled fully. They're controlled fully by the lobbyists, by the donors, and by the special interests, fully.
Ed, I'll tell you what, he's got a point there because we keep talking about lobbyists, special interests, and the way that they basically have everybody inside the Beltway inside his pocket. I have the feeling that in this case, he's right. They're not going to buy him, are they?
No, and they're not. But he does hit on a point that's very real to the American voter, that somehow Washington is very insular. And this is the same thing that happened down in Florida. When Jeb Bush became governor way back when in Florida, there was a real lobbyist issue around that, and he cut through that stuff. He mentioned it in his speech on Monday when he announced the presidency, that there'll be a new day in Washington because we just need to cut out this idea of the revolving lobbyist door.
All right, now, speaking of the former Florida governor, he is already on the campaign trail. He appeared on Jimmy Fallon Tuesday night. And I guess what we have to do is, if we're going to give him credit, we have to give Jeb Bush credit for at least being someone who knows how to slow jam.
Where do you stand on immigration?
Well, Jimmy, we're a nation of immigrants, and I believe everyone should have the chance to achieve the American dream. And to translate that for all your Spanish-speaking viewers, somos una nación de inmigrantes, y creo que todo el mundo debería tener la oportunidad de alcanzar el sueño americano.
I know you just got back from Miami, but I think I was interviewing Governor Pitbull.
Fireball.
David, I'll tell you what, he hit basically the one thing there that a lot of people are going to hammer him on, because he has got a very different immigration stand on many of the others in the GOP, and there's already a lot of distance being put between them. Do you think that his going after that vote, being able to actually have what many people would call a common sense approach to immigration, will sway enough of the voters and put them over to his side?
Well, for one thing, I'm reminded of Bill Clinton going on Arsenio Hall and playing a saxophone in the early 90s. I mean, you don't underestimate the importance of feeling comfortable, having a candidate who feels comfortable in those settings. I give Jeb Bush some credit for that. Now, on the more important point that you raised, whether or not speaking Spanish on late night TV is going to win him the Latino vote, I would say emphatically, no, it will not. In fact, it sort of insults the intelligence of the Latino voter to assume that all I have to do is speak Spanish and point out my Mexican wife and all.
But I don't think that's very fair, David. David, I don't think that's very fair. Yes, he can speak Spanish, and yes, he appears on the show, but he has said before that he will not back down from his immigration stance, which he believes we have to find a way for people to become part of this country, while others on the GOP want to just go ahead and wall off Mexico.
Yeah, but you see, to your ears, that might sound like a reasonable middle-of-the-road position, but to Latinos who also hear him say that he's not going to walk away from deportation, that he's not going to walk away from some of the more extreme policy proposals that have been put forward, they've got to see some major change. And you contrast that, for example, with what Hillary Clinton is doing, which is moving even further to the pro-immigration side, further than President Obama, saying, I would have done more under executive order. I want to push for more. So if this is your issue, if you vote for a candidate based on this issue, there's an enormous amount of ground that Jeb Bush would have to cover to even get close to where Hillary Clinton already is. And that's the problem he's got. I do believe that the primary voters are going to hold him back from getting there. All
right, Ed, I got about a minute and a half here, so let me throw to you on this one then, because this is going to be one of the main contentious issues that Jeb Bush is going to have to face. How do you think he's doing thus far? And do you agree or disagree with David?
Well, I don't disagree. I disagree with David on this point. That you know what, we really should go further than Obama on unconstitutional executive orders. I'm not thinking that's really a good play in the election. But what I am going to say is that Jeb Bush has done more for Hispanics through educational choice issues, through all kinds of opportunities in both K-12 and higher ed. More Hispanics are graduating the University of Florida from the University of Florida system. I'm going to tell you something. There is a lot of support for Jeb Bush of the Hispanics who know him, know that what he is truly genuine. And to be honest, he might actually be the first Hispanic president.
And we only have another year and a half to go. We only have a little bit.
It's like being trans-Hispanic. I think you just said that Bush is trans-Hispanic.
I'm going to give you that because he will not be the first Hispanic president. Let's make sure we point that out right here. David, Ed, thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen. We're all out of time. We got to call it there, and that is the perfect place to call it. All right, we'll continue on this. Now, we're going to continue right here on the hard line. What do we got coming up? Very simple. Here we have a gentleman who was kicked and beaten by Orlando police, captured on video. He will join us in the studio to talk about exactly what he is facing. That's Orlando victim Noel Carter. The Cardinals cheating controversy with Seth Everett, and also the Pope against the GOP on climate change. What's the GOP going to do on that one? We'll get to all that. You tell us exactly what you think, and we will continue. Stay with us, because this is the fastest 60 minutes in news, where we get to it all right here on the Hard Line.